Alright. What are we doing? Playing games. Not working too hard today. But if anybody needs anything, let me know. And we will talk about it. Let me make sure, hold on, let me make sure I can see everything over here. Yep, okay, good. I'm just running around playing video games. And, oh, I got a brawler now. I don't think I haven't seen this guy yet. I definitely haven't seen this guy. Alright, let's see how he goes. Start him on floor 1, and we'll try hard. We'll see how that goes. I have not tried this character, so I don't know what he does. Oh wow, okay. Oh, it looks like I stunned dudes. Alright. That's cool. Take some more basic attack. If you guys want to ask me anything about Linux or make sure the sound's working, yeah, you guys can see. Okay, good. Yeah, let me know if anything comes up. Otherwise, I am just over here playing video games. Wife is, where is she? She's at one of the kids' games. More basic attack. Okay. We'll update our secondary attack, which makes that hit harder. If you guys have any questions about Linux or any of that kind of stuff, let me know. I'm just hanging out and playing video games. Alright. Get a little bit of life regen. Get some magic hammers going. That ought to be fun. More attack power. That makes everything hit harder. Get more experience. It's like, what'd you do on stream today? All I did was punch a bunch of skeletons. That's all I did. Punching skeletons. I really like the chain lightning. Pretty cool skill, pretty good effect too. Does really good damage. Go more sanctuary. Reroll those. Let's get our basic attack up. Let's make this guy a punching machine. Mental note, it doesn't matter which direction you're actually walking, your charge will always go in the direction you're facing, so. Now these are all good, but this one is going to go 3 levels, so we definitely want the one that's going to jump over a bunch of levels. That's almost always the better thing. Go with lightning wave. This is actually really good explosion of damage around me, and since that's kind of the theme of my guy, we'll just go with that. We got a boss. Wait, no. He got me? How did he kill me? Oh yeah, I'm on harder mode. Oh well, that's kind of funny. I thought I killed him. Alright, Brawler's okay. We'll give the Brawler one more shot with his one stupid item that he's got. Huh. That wasn't even fucking worth it. Sure. We'll put on the stupid. Sure. Alright, we did try it on hard. We'll give it another shot. But we went back down to level 1. Magic items. More fine. Take pickup radius. It's a nice thing to not have to worry about later on. And we'll take chain lightning again. Basic attack. I really can't believe that stupid boss killed me. I thought I killed him. Take gold. Although gold is only really for meta progression in between levels, so it doesn't really help you in a round. It only helps you after a round. Take meteor strike just because it's such a big jump. I've never used ball lightning, so we're gonna give this a try. And also it was 2 levels instead of just 1, so fair enough. Alright. Ice Orb is great, so we're gonna use that. Actually a pretty good little spell. Another one of these stupid little bosses. We're gonna go whoop this guy's ass and not let him get inside of us this time. we're gonna make sure he dies. There, he's dead. He's all the way dead. Alright. We'll take the Summon Reaper. And only because he was going up 2 levels. Although that's freaking me out. We're gonna take Meteor Strike, go higher up. That thing is just terrifying. Take more Chain Lightning. Take 2 to 4, so we'll jump 2 levels. Works for me. Do a pickup radius. If you guys have any Linux type questions or want to know about the courses, let me know. Otherwise, playing us some video games. It's mostly just roughing up monsters, which I am perfectly okay with. Let's take more critical hit damage. So, higher meteor, we can go up 2 for Dragon's Breath. I don't think I've ever used this one. We'll give this one a try. Right. Looks like it mostly just does hardly any damage and makes it harder to see. So that's always fun. We'll go more meteors. That fire barely does anything. Oh, it's not even a whole damage. It's giving like a part of a damage. Jeez. Alright. We'll go Ball Lightning up. Actually, no, we'll go Basic Attack up double. So we get 2 levels. That's too easy. Just stand here and pummel everybody. We'll take our special attack up. And when we charge people, we do more damage. Wander around a little bit. More attack. More Chain Lightning, get more Reaper, or we can make our Ball Lightning double. So we'll just double that Ball Lightning up. Yep, gives us more of them, do more damage. Yeah, charging into the middle of these guys that do area of effect damage, not Not the best idea. Not the best way to go about things. I can't believe how low that damage is on that stupid dragon's breath. Alright, make our meteor strike go up too. More chain lightning. Does pretty good damage overall. Does a good job softening up targets. Monsters. Put our attack power up. We just want to hit harder. If everything else is going to be weak, we're just going to hit harder. Percentage-based damage gain, always good. More chain lightning. Go with higher ice orb. That ice orb always ends up doing a lot of damage by the end of the run. Enemies off me. We got a minute 30. We just gotta hold out for a minute 30. Reroll that. More chain lightning. More overall damage. It's always good. I want to get back to that weapon, or was that armor? Oh yeah, that's just armor. Now you always want to get back to the good items if you can. That's a legendary. So we only got to make it 15 more seconds, so we can hope. There we go. All right, made it. Some Linux users said you hear about Windboat, an alternative to wine. I have not heard of that. What is that? Let's see. Let me go check here. Let me go check. Where do I have? You call it wind boat? Wind boat? I've not heard of this. Docker and KVM under the hood. Okay. Runs real Windows. Any Windows app. I have not seen or played with this. No. They got a link to it? Frequently asked questions. Can you guys link it to us? Not in chat. Sorry, down here. Yeah. Currently in beta, so let's see. Hiccups, little stuff. Okay. Desktop is not supported. Okay. 32 gigs of free space in var. The reason this is slightly interesting to me is because I use a tool called Guacamole and give people access into our systems. And then if they were to connect, if they want, I could give them a Linux desktop, do that as well. That's not that big of a deal. But the point is, I could give them access into a desktop. So that's interesting. Let's identify all our items. Let's go look at if we got anything good. And it looks like we got some new gloves. So attack 1.5 enemies within 5 meters plus 50% basic attack damage. Good. It's better than what I had on because I had nothing on. Dagger automatically attacks the nearest enemy. Oh, so if I have dagger, that's good. This is better than what I had on, but evasion, cold. We'll go with this one. It's this headband. Gives me mana regeneration and poison resistance. Or mana regeneration and long range damage reduction. I will take this. Now what's this doing? Not as good. And not as good. Let's look at our boots. We don't have any boots on, so any boots will do. Alright. Oh, these one might be better. Yeah, better. Alright. I don't see anything else that's an upgrade. Wait, are there gloves? It's interesting because our weapon's already fists, so they're already gloves, but they don't make that distinction. Anyways, yeah, if anybody wants to talk about system stuff, I can pull that stuff up. I'm just playing video games here and mostly just hanging out. Sell all the items. Let's go jump up to floor 3 on hard and see how we do on that. Alright. See if we can't get a level up here. Alright. Take our attack stronger. Try to kill people more. Alright. Do more crit damage. And then... oh, this one's tough. We're gonna go basic attack up again, because now, look, we're just shredding things. That's definitely worth it. And then we need to pick something, so everybody's coming to us, and we will probably want the lightning wave But Purge is actually really good too, so we'll go with Purge for now, just because it's 2 levels up. I'll just let that melt people off to the side. That will also target really high level creatures, so we're fine with that. We'll take more damage overall. Alright. Make our special attack hit a little harder. That's our special attack. It's really just like a stun, so it doesn't do great. We need to get our basic attack up, and then we need to get daggers. We're probably going to have to roll out and try to find some daggers, because it says that dagger automatically targets the closest person, which is fine with me. Normally dagger targets who's ever in front of you. So, take the attacks. We'll take the ice sword. Don't take too many of those. Tough one. We'll do lightning strikes. Dude, those fucking bats keep getting inside of me. I don't know how they do that. They're just like getting... Take movement speed. My guy doesn't feel as sluggish. Take Sanctuary. Jeez, they already got us down to half. I feel like I gotta lock in just to play. Alright, I don't want any of that right now. I don't want any of that either. Fucking crit damage, I guess. Not that any of those other things were bad. I really want to find these stupid daggers. We have an ability with one of our items. Oh! Boss killed me before I even knew he was on the screen. I wasn't looking. Alright. That's terrible. Alright. Getting out of there. Get out of that game. Alright, so what are we doing today? Well, we're not doing Linux stuff. Or we are doing Linux stuff, but we're not doing that stuff right now. Although there's a lot of stuff in that talk. That's not what we're doing right now, though. That's not the purpose of the talk. Or that's not what we're doing. What we should be doing is all the Linux. Let's go check our environment. That's all good. Let's see. Any other users in any of the systems? See if any users are doing anything. Bang 1051. Should show us if any users are in any of the boxes. Nobody's using the environment yet because the courses all start this week, so we'll start doing our course stuff. Courses are security engineering course. For people that haven't done that before, that's a good one. I think people that have done it before might find some benefit in doing it again. And then the automation course. They're both starting on Saturday. So I have most everything I need to put together for Saturday. Oh, I got to make a post in my college too. Oh, so many things going on. So many things to do, guys. So much stuff to work on. But to that end, we'll get that going. People will feel, we'll get everybody aligned on this first Saturday with what's going on, and just kind of work through, automation in the enterprise. What does it look like? Where are the places that I think you should focus, right? Like if you're going to be like an operations lead, you're going to be like a platform engineering lead or something like I was for a long time, then you should be, doing these things with your automation tools, not just, I mean, some people automate everything and that's wonderful, but there's also things that are more impactful, right? Like there's impactful things that you can do. Oh, well, no, I don't want targets. I want all. My fault. Let's just hit all the boxes real quick. Kafka's down. I knew that was down. Look at all these other ones. Oh, Rocky 3, 4, and 5 are down right now too. I turned them off, so let me just fix that. Rocky 1 to 2 for right now. And we can just do -F like 15. This will fork everything. We'll see the failure on Kafka still, but all the other ones will come much faster. Yeah, there we go. Boom. Okay. So the environment's pretty clean. Colchis, how's it going? We are not working too hard. I was actually playing a video game, but it was kind of not going well for me. I was playing a character I've only started playing that game today, but a character that I didn't know as well. So I kind of just quit it because he just crashed pretty bad. But I'm, working on stuff. I could do, let's see what other things we can do. I could show you guys that we have a fair amount of events coming up. So this is always good to show you. We've got on Saturday, we've got the Bash study group. And then again, the courses are starting. So the security engineering course round 2 and the 16-week automation course is starting up. The security engineering course doesn't say it, but it's 10 weeks. So this one starts end of September here. Should be October, November, probably end of November. This one will be done. Although the third week of this course we will skip. So we'll be skipping the 4th of October in both of the courses. I have to skip them because I'm going to be up in Montana with the wife. So we're doing that. And then we'll do the late night Bash study. And then we've got the writer's room. Writer's room is run by the people in our server. Yeah, Colchis, I actually have an idea. I think I have a thing that I think is going to be really good. I've had this idea for a long time for just like a toolkit, right? Because everybody writes their own little toolkits and stuff. But I just think we're just going to make our own toolkit, our own ProLUG toolkit. We'll probably just make our own little section for it. And I'll just kind of show you guys how I've run I've run these for like NOAA and like how we do our Ansible deployments, like what it looks like actually. And we took the idea, me and the guys that started it, we took the idea from Shasta, which is a system that was being run by Cray. And, everybody's trying to find their way to do things and find the balance of a way that they want to do things. And obviously there's a bunch of different ways that things could be done. How you format files and how you do inheritable roles and all these kind of things. But we centered on a way that ended up being pretty good for us. And what I just think we do is just have it would just be a good toolkit of all the things that we kind of do in Ansible. And I started one a while back. But it was just me messing around. Where's it at? It's on my GitHub. And some of you guys used it in the thing. It's the HPC deploy one, right? And I originally started this to actually be my HPC deployer in the home lab environment, right? And I was gonna do it, but I never got around to doing it. All I ever did with it really was just use it for some of the stuff that we're messing around with up in the Killer Coda Lab. So then you would come in here, and these are all inheritable roles here, right? So these are all things that can happen when you're in this environment. And then what we would do is we would write, if you wanted to build out an NFS system, you would do this one, and it would inherit as long. And then our README for this would be like, make type server if it's a server, and make type client. And then we would have to add in some variables, like an environment file typically in this case, and we would say in your environment file, and we would give an example for it, right? And the environment file would be give the information, the shares you want to create, the place you want to mount it on the client, like all these variables, and then we would just populate that NFS deployer that we built. NFS deployer is like stupid simple, right? And when I say stupid simple, I'm not saying like I expect anybody to pick it up the first time. What I'm saying is it's like when you go and you look at it, you're like, that's it? That's the whole thing? Yeah, that's the whole thing. This is how you share out from an NFS server, and then you would just make this a variable. You could change these values if you wanted. You could change who you're allowing it out to. This right here could be a variable. This could be if you wanted to give me a IP address range and a slash netmask, we can add that in there, right? If we wanted to lock this down in some way. But the point would be not to make something that's more complex than setting up NFS ourselves. Setting up NFS ourselves is simple, right? What the goal would be to make something that makes people's lives easier, right? So here's our clients. Hold on. Here's our clients and tasks. And then this is how we mount it on a client, but obviously this would be different based on the name of the server, whatever server was actually the one that we'd be connecting off of, and then whatever share that we wanted, and then wherever we mount it. So again, you would just populate an environment file, and these would all just be variabilized, right? And then you could make this some useful tool. So I had originally put this together. People just use this in the people that have used this, they really just use this in the Killer Coda labs, right? And then they pull it down and they mess with it, do some deployments, do some patching and stuff. But we would probably just make a new one of these, maybe even over on the, this is our, this is my Het Tanis one, but we have a ProLUG Discord or GitHub that the guys run as well. And we could just have something like that, like Ansible Toolkit or something, or Ansible Automation Toolkit or something. And it would just be all the normal things that we build during that course. And I thought about having everybody do different stuff, like having everybody do their own. But then I was like, well, but why don't we just make one big useful one for us? And we can let the guys noodle on it, and people that want to be able to show that they've been contributing to stuff can do so. I think that that's a better way of doing it. The one thing I worried about, and this is always true of classes, you've got the one or two hard chargers, and then you've got the kind of the middle of the class, and then you got the guys that languish at the end. And how do we make it fair for everybody? Because people are going to grab up all the tasks that are interesting to them or simple first, and then people are going to come along later and be like, well, there was nothing to do, and it's not fair. So this is true in college too. It's the same way with like discussions and stuff. So we'll figure out a way to make that fair, and I'll just probably keep adding ideas and to-dos maybe to it. But that's kind of what I'm thinking of for the course, because, it's one thing, and I think it's a good thing to be able to show that you were somebody that contributed here, right? I think this is a valuable thing for people in the industry, like to be able to show that they contributed to something that somebody could go, oh, you were part of this? Yeah, and that's something that we did or whatever. And then we could have, for people here, they'd also be able to show their GitHub, right? They'd be able to show that other stuff that they'd kind of work on. Yeah, Cole, because that could be fair. That could be a fair way to do it. I've also thought about maybe having some generic ones, and I don't want to make people team up or anything, but I think it might be kind of fun for people to maybe do a little bit of teaming up and being able to I don't want to say team up, but maybe have it like I don't want to say group assignments too. People hate group assignments, which is always interesting to me. People absolutely fucking abhorrently hate them inside of like college classes. They hate it. And I'm like, guys, you know what happens as soon as you get out in the industry, right? You have to go work with these same people you couldn't stand working with. So like, honestly, like I do think that, like, especially if when people tell me my college was terrible, I had to work with all these terrible people, and I'm like, ah, sounded like you got prepared for the workplace. That's what it sounds like to me. Somebody will have gone to some college that's unrelated to mine, right? Like, I'm not trying to defend my college here. I'm just telling you, like, I had shit bags in my college classes. I had people that I had to work with that were terrible, but we do what we do, right? And we try to figure this stuff out. Yeah, Colcus, we'll go over it. Like, I mean, this first week is going to be getting into the tools and setting up environments and stuff like that. Um, yeah, yeah. Well, in Colcus, you get the people who end up wanting to do it, right? And that's always useful. People want to hang out and work on stuff. And you'll find that people that are driven by kind of like a desire to do something will always get more stuff done than people that are being desired or being driven by some, monetary motivation or whatever. And I've told you guys that. Like, people always think I'm kidding. Look, I can tell you the exact reason why this exists. Well, we can go look at this. This was obviously published. This was 314,000 a few months ago. It's up at 355,000 publicly available data sets for people. And the reason that there's so many government data sets available is because the government learned long ago. Well, I'll tell you another thing here in a second too, but the government learned long ago that people that are motivated to go churn through data themselves get way more stuff done than people that are getting paid for it. Like I would put a amateur researcher, like, playing with these data sets that are interesting to them, up against 10 researchers that are being paid for it. And you think I'm kidding, but the government's learned that too, and that's why all this stuff's out here being published. There's another thing too. I mean, well, I won't get into that because it sounds political, even though it's not political. It's just simple numbers. But you can go find all these things here. They'll show you the most viewed data sets. Oh, people want to know the Powerball. That's actually funny. People want to know the Powerball lottery winners. People want to know the electric vehicle population data. Those are interesting, and probably a lot of these are driven by political, stuff. But these are all published things that are out there. And data.gov is open for anybody, right? All right. But that's something to look at and think about. I was looking at the course book stuff earlier, and then Windboat. Interesting little application somebody mentioned. Let's go see what this let's go see what the installation for this looks like. You can use Docker Compose. Free RDP required for remote desktop connection. So make sure you have version something. So you could do free RDP, or I could connect into it via. I have a tool called Guacamole that we could use as well. Here's how you set it up on your different versions. Fedora is probably closest to what most of us use. Yeah, release version, okay. But Ubuntu, Debian, and OpenSUSE as well. Interesting. All right. That's definitely stuff that we could be examining if we wanted to, and figuring out. We got some lab maintenance. This one's probably going to cancel this Sunday because, man, my wife's making me drive back down to Tucson for a family thing. And I told her, I was like, look, wifey, like, I love you and all, but, like, I can't be driving for, 5 hours on a Sunday when I need to be working on my dissertation stuff, Now, never mind that I was just going to be messing around during that time. But she doesn't know I wasn't going to be messing around during that time. I have to draw a line somewhere. So I told her, I was like, look, man, we're going to this, but, like, I can't keep getting signed up for these, like, the family things. Like they got to understand. I'll pop back up when they can call me Dr. Champagne. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to tell her family that, or her side of the family that. That would be kind of funny. I'd probably get myself in trouble. All right. But yeah, our systems are looking good. They're healthy. We will give them a reboot for sure. I won't cancel it on Sunday because we do need to reboot all these systems. I guess I could reboot them. Yeah, I'll wait until the maintenance window. There's nothing wrong with them. They haven't been used yet, so they'll be fine. They'll be fine. I do have the um, documentation for um, the lab. So I'm putting together a lab guide because there's just a lot of things that I don't know, people maybe need to know about the lab. So I'm putting a little lab together for that, or a guide for that, specifically around like how people will map into their servers and the username and password form. And the reason I'm using a username and password first is because people can push we can push over the keys later as a lab, as a practice, as a thing that I think is valuable to learn how to do. We can generate and push keys on the fly with Ansible. That's fine. But we're going to start with a password because you probably are going to be given a password for like a service account out of your, whatever tooling you're in, LDAP or, your identity and access management team. They're going to give some tool like that. And some teams, by the way, sometimes we never know those until we check them out from a tool like CyberArk or something like that. You go and you check out the resources you need it, and it changes daily. So even if you wrote it down or put it in your notes or something, it's useless every day. It's not quite an what we call like a nonce, but it's similar. It's close. What are you really? You can't. I can't. That's not. Oh. Apparently that's a bad word too. Really? NONCE? Really? Huh? Well, I guess everything's a bad word now. Can I say? No, I'm not gonna say any bad words that are. I'm not gonna make it say any bad words that are worse than normal. But okay. Let's go find. Yeah, I thought nonce was just like a. I thought that was a one-time. I mean, I get that it's an insult too. Yeah, it's right there. That's what I was using it as. It's a temporary random number. It's only good for one time basically. That's what a nonce is. Well, so I know that you call somebody a nonce when you're calling them like a knucklehead or a the R word that this thing won't say unless I'm using it. And that's actually something that's been a sticking point for me. I've been an engineer for a long time. I use the word retarded the correct way, even when I'm talking about a person. And this thing, this thing is not, because I'm not saying that you're special. I'm saying that you're stunted or inhibited in your growth in some way. Yeah, this thing won't say. But if I say I want to retard a process or I want to retard the growth of a tree, this thing has said it before. Retarding the growth of a tree is a common practice for people that. Oh, there it is, right there. Yeah. Yeah, see? It actually said it for a second. Did you guys see it? Retarding the growth of something or retarding a river. Those are real. Those are actual engineering terms. I am not being mean to the tree or the river. I am saying that we are stunting or changing the growth pattern of the thing, which is a technical engineering term. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it does, and it seems like when I use it in the proper like verbiage, it'll do it. But I can't just say you retard a process. But that is the technical way you do it. You like I'll give you an example of me retarding a process right here. That's the technical term. Now I didn't sit around and say that when we were doing it, but right here, right? So we've got a ProLUG. Let's go to roles and then daily ProLUG lab check and then tasks, right? And in here, at the bottom of this, right here, originally this always sent to Discord. So when I was testing this, it would always come out to Discord. And if I were to test this like I was the other day, it would have went over and over and over and over and over again out to here to Sandbox. But what I did, right, and we were even testing it, and I said I can test in silence. And what I did was I retarded this. It's not a mean term. It's the technical term for what I did. I retarded this so it only sends when report equals true. I added this variable here. And now when you look at like cron tab -L, now when you want to send, which this always does, it's only going to send as the report equals true. So then when I go and run this, I can run this like this, and it'll do all the things that I want it to do. Rocky Bastion, Auto Bastion, but it's not hitting, I don't see it hitting test. So I need to, anyways, I have to fix that up, but I think I have to add the targets here. But when I run it without this, it doesn't go out there. It just comes here to my normal machine. I made a terrible mistake today. I was noticing by an architecture team. Now I'm gonna get more work. Yeah. The thing is, there's no. That's super funny. We often say there's no good deed goes unpunished, and it's actually funny. Like when one of the things that we did in the sys administration class was, and I tried to. Sometimes I try to like directly like say things, and sometimes I just try to show things by like what I do, and I pat myself on the back because I'm very clever later, but I'm not actually that clever. I just sometimes it works out that way. But one of the things I did was in the discussions, they had to fix a firewall, right? But then in the next discussion, it was like they found out that you fixed that firewall. Now you need to explain the difference between that type of firewall and a web application firewall to some other team, because now you're the firewall expert in the organization. And it's funny that that's really how it works, like, because nobody else can figure this out, but the Linux guy figured it out. So now the Linux guy's also the WAF guy, and he's doing web application firewalls now because he was the guy that knew how to figure something out because he read the field manual, right? So can I do RTFM? We all know what I meant. Read the field manual. So yeah. They fixed it last time, and man, I tell people, like, this is one of the reasons I try to document stuff well, is because if my name's tagged to it, I know the call's coming to me eventually. It might have to go. The rules might say it has to go to one of my Linux guys first. One of my juniors, they're acting like a little shield to block for me. But that manager may say, I know Scott knows the answer, call Scott. And it's like, 11 o'clock on a Friday, and me and the wife are watching the new Demon Slayer or something. By the way, Demon Slayer was fun. We watched it the night it opened, me and the wife. We were talking about it down the Discord, and the guys are probably somewhat surprised that my wife goes with me. She likes anime. She'll watch them with me. She actually really likes Demon Slayer because there's a few reasons, but it's very pretty. She likes that it's very pretty, but it's also that she likes that there's like redemption arcs. That's kind of a thing that is kind of fun. Yeah, but when everything you just said there about an IP being advertised and was routable and it wasn't supposed to be, all those things there, most of the other people just hear, wah, 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 wah. I fixed it. That's all they heard. So then next time they just point at you and go, he fixed it. And then that's where life goes for you. Yeah, I like Demon Slayer. I like the art in Demon Slayer. I'm a big fan. Like, if I'm watching anime, there's a few things that I really like. I like the art when the art is particularly well done. And I like when engineering things happen. I mean, I like anime in general, but I like those two things especially. And I can give you some examples. If you guys have ever seen Demon Slayer, one of my favorite scenes in it is something that probably none of you ever even thought of, and you should probably go back and watch it if you didn't. But the scene where he's running down the mountain with the traps is some of the best, like, 3D visual movement I've ever seen, like, portrayed in an anime. And it's really good. He's running down, he's like dodging the traps as he's like getting faster and faster, like getting down this mountain for when he wants to become a demon slayer. That's fantastic. And I'll give you one of the examples of one of my favorite engineering ones. My wife has not watched Attack on Titan with me yet because I explained to her that it's very I explained to her, I'm like, it's very like freaky, like the faces on them and stuff, and she's like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch that then. But one of the things I really like is if you guys remember when they first left the Wall Maria and they're out riding and they're showing how like the they're the scout corps, right? They're the only ones that go outside the wall, but how they spread out and how they ride, and then they overlaid the top of it with like this awesome like engineering and like combat tactics diagram as they were riding. That's one of my favorite types of things that they did on that show. Yeah. So I only have watched the first 2 seasons of Attack on Titan, because then I watched the first 2, and if you guys remember the first 2, it took them like 6 years to put both of them out, even though it was like the super popular show that had its own Universal, theme park in Japan. Super popular show, but they just couldn't put them out. So I just read all the manga, and I've never went back and watched the show. So it's like I have all the manga on my computer here. I got it on the Humble Bundle one day, but a few years back, probably 2018 maybe. And but I've just never went back and watched them all. But I was so mad too how long it took them to come out with those, because it was a wildly popular and well received show that took a long time to come out. Doc said, "How can you disable ping on a Linux server firewall?" No, it's simpler than that. Hold on, I'll show you. It's this is how you do it, Doc. So Doc's question was, how do you disable like your system responding to ping? It's right here. So sysctl-a and then grep for ICMP. And this is how your machine deals with echo requests and echo replies. So ICMP is Internet Control Messaging Protocol. Ping is the Packet Internetworking Groper, which I think that's so funny. Groper. No, it gropes. It gropes. It's yeah, show it, gropes. There it is. Dirty word. Not grouper, groper. It's groping. You're automatically perverted if you're using ICMP. And there's echo requests and echo replies as part of the messaging of that. So if I want my system here to ignore all ICMP echoes and just drop them, there's my filter right there. So the way you would set this in a system is you could set it right now just by going and setting the value in proc. But the real way to set it forever is in etc. This is where I do it. Etc sysctl.d. And then in here, like here's one. This is things that had maybe been set. And what I tend to do, and I made the guys do this when they did the security course, I'm pretty sure. Or if not, I showed it to them. I would make one. So I'd just like touch, let's say, everything in here has to be .conf. And then I'd VI my 00remediation.conf, and I would say, I've already forgotten it, by the way. Hold on. I would grab this value right here, and I would set it right here to 1. And it would now ignore. When the system comes back up, it will no longer accept ping from devices, because I have set this value to be ignore. Could I also ignore broadcasts? And are there all these other things that I can change the behaviors on? Absolutely. But the primary one, if you don't want to do it through some other thing, this is your kernel, right? sysctl controls your kernel behaviors, and this is the net IPv4 configuration. So yeah, it's echo, and you can just ignore. It won't respond to them anymore. So. You didn't love it when they switched. So actually, Kolkus, I think I only watched the first 2, but I might be lying to you guys. Where is the one where he fights the armored Titan and he's doing like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? He's got it like in like a guillotine, and he's like choking it, and he like breaks part of its back, and then they get up and they keep fighting, and he's kind of doing like I think he's like kicking it, and then he's like they were talking to the main guy, and they're like, yeah, I really wanted the armored Titan to look like Brock Lesnar. I don't know if you guys remember any of that, but that was like kind of big when that's the last episode I remember watching. Yeah. So it was in season 2. That makes sense. Yeah. And he was doing like some grappling on the ground with it, because, I don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but people turn into Titans if you don't know. I mean, I'm not going to tell you which people, but there's people. And yeah, he fights the Titan, and they're doing like grappling on the ground, which I'm like, get out to the side, choke him. But, and it's not really a choke, by the way. It's only a strangle. It's only a choke if something's inside your throat, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. If you're doing it from the outside, it's a strangle. So if any of your friends are like, I went to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tonight, and I strangled or I choked a bunch of people out, you're like, whoa. That is not the same messaging as if you tell me you strangled a bunch of people out. Although most people say choke because they don't really know the difference or care the difference, if we're being honest. But yeah, that's how you would do it. You'd go modify it right there. And this file, literally, it doesn't matter what you call it. Doesn't matter. You can call it anything. Anything.conf will be read out of the sysctl.d on the next boot of the server. So that's how I do it. Do I have a example of that? By the way, there's a bunch of best practices too. So like if we look at it, STIGs, right? So you guys might say, where would I go? Like somebody might say, well, what would I do if I wanted to get in there, and I can come over here, and I'm actually on the I'm actually on the RHEL 9. So this would be similar to one of these boxes. And here's just the sysctl rules. And these are the ones that would maybe, I don't want kernel profiling. So I actually have a one of these that's set on my nodes. I think I have it on the Werewolf box. So let me see if I have it in STIGs. I might not have it in here. Where would I have put it? No, hold on. No, where would I have put it? So we blew away the old Werewolf. Werewolf. It's in here? No. I don't remember where I put it, but I do have that configuration. I actually have it stored at work too, because I have a version of it that I do professionally, where all of these things that I want to apply, I do within one. Oh, you know where I used to do it? Hold on, I know where I used to do it. There's a file over here. I used to just show this on stream back in the day. No. I don't remember. Guys, I have no idea where I put it. I do know that I used to have it on here, but I don't know what I was doing. I don't know where it is. Oh well. I know where I could find it on a work page, but like we don't need it right now. But if I wanted to take all of these values here and say that these were all good, I have a file where I've just put all these in there, all the correct values for a system to pass all of these. And then if I need to back away from any of them, because maybe this is if you're not going to allow routers to inform hosts, most of the time you're not. So this would redirect 0. And that's, by the way, the default anyways. And then there's one, there's just a bunch of them. But they set the way that your system works, and they make you pass a lot of the stuff that comes in from the network is a lot more secure when you handle it that way. So, all right. Oh yeah, that's old. You got Nagios on there. Old kernels too. All right. What else do we have going on tonight then? I don't have anything too important to work on right now. But we do have Discord. You guys can go hang out in there. What's going on down there? Looks like people are doing various important-ish things down there. Looks like I was playing video games. That's pretty common. Looks like people are talking about jobs and interviews and such. We haven't done one in a while, but I will probably do some of the interview practice again before the end of the year. And then we are kind of loosely set to start in January again. We'll probably start the Linux sysadmin course again. So that'll be the third run through it. No, /temp only gets in Linux boxes. In modern Linux, /temp gets cleared every 30 days if something hasn't been changed. var temp used to get wiped out of like Solaris boxes and that kind of stuff every time you rebooted. And var temp may still get that in Linux boxes, but slash temp no. Slash temp gets cleaned up later by log rotate. I think it's on monthly maybe. Or is it in here? Maybe it is cron daily. Maybe that's not the one doing it. But yeah, it'll clean out the that thing. Where's that at? It's in yeah, it's not in here. Yeah, I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere around there. But no, no, modern Linux doesn't. Not modern Red Hat, anyways, doesn't just clear it after a reboot. No, no, we could test that too, but no, no, it's like it's something that hasn't been modified for I think a month nowadays. That's the default that I've seen. At least in Red Hat. The last 10 years I've been mostly using it. But I don't think I've ever went and looked where that's actually happening. I don't know if I've ever bothered to look in here for what's... Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know where it happens. It's not, no. On my system, it's not on its own either. There's definitely things that have been in there since, well, this thing's been up for a while. And my other systems that I would use to reboot wouldn't help either because they're all stateless, so it wouldn't really matter. No, slash temp in any box that I've done or worked on, I never set them like that. I'd set temp on their own partition because that was always, we always had to adhere to the CIS benchmarks. But no, I don't. No, I do have systems where temp would be in tempfs, but only because it's part of root, right? Like it's not on its own; it's just part of root. So in this case, all of these get wiped on reboot, so that's not as useful. As far as that goes. All right. Well, shoot. I don't think the wife's gonna be back for a while. She went over. We have one of our nieces is like 17 and she's in cheer, but she got concussed, and she can't cheer. And I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. Like I didn't know that you could get a concussion and couldn't go out and cheer. But she is not cleared to cheer for whatever team. And I'm like, it's not like she's out there actually taking hits. She's just trying to cheer, but they won't let her cheer. So the wife was going to go to her game. That's where I was going with that. And then she was going to come home, but I think she might have had something else she was doing too. So now I don't remember where the wife is. But she was doing something. She was going to go hang out. We have I think I've told you guys, we have like 22 nieces and nephews, so it's hard to keep them all. I said 22. But anyways, it's hard to keep them all straight, but the jumping maybe. Yeah, well, I'm sure throwing her around isn't good either because she's kind of tiny. So I'm sure that throwing her around isn't good for her. I don't know how she got concussed. Maybe she bounced off the ground or something. And they were like, yeah, we can't be throwing her around. But I just, when I was younger, I guess I didn't really think about any of that. Although, you know, they're much more than 30 years ago, right? When I was in high school, they're much more than that nowadays, as far as like concussion, traumatic brain injuries, and those kind of things, those kind of injuries. And even like I tell people, even like in 2003 when I was in Iraq, it's like they didn't think much. I mean, they had PTSD, like we knew what PTSD was, but they didn't know nothing about like TBI. I have a buddy who got hit with a IED the day they were driving out. They were driving out to actually leave, and I had already left because they dropped the stop loss for me. So I left about halfway through the deployment, but he was leaving. They were like literally driving out, and they got hit with an IED, and he got pretty rattled up. And even to this day, like he's a really sharp guy, very smart, but like he'll tell you the same joke 3 times when you're hanging out with him, and you're like, do you not remember telling me that joke already? And he doesn't. Other than that, though, you wouldn't know there was nothing wrong with him. He'll just be like, oh, hey, did I tell you this one? And you're like, oh, no, you didn't. Go ahead and tell me again. You're like pulling out your Norm Macdonald and just humoring him. But it's because he legitimately got a TBI. And they didn't know anything about it. Nowadays, like if you got TBI in a combat zone now, you'd get a Purple Heart. But he didn't get one for that. So kind of unfortunate. And it was combat related too, because obviously IEDs are combat related. So it wasn't like like if you guys know, like in Vietnam you could get like trench foot and you would still get a Purple Heart for just not changing your socks, and that's not good. But you know, that's still an injury, but it's not the same as like a combat based injury. Nowadays you have to actually get it in combat. So at least that's the standard in the last 30 years or so. All right, what are we doing here? So systems are up. We have the lab the way we want it. We have the monitoring for the lab the way we want it. We need to check something. There's something actually that I do need to go look at. This is not storing data as long as I thought it was. So let's go look at what's actually happening. I set this up and I never went and looked at it again. So we need to go check that. So let's grep for Loki from Etsy hosts, and it's over on the influx server. So we'll SSH to just Loki for now. And I suspect, first off, part of my problem, this is one of the few machines when I was building Ubuntu. I was building an Ubuntu box in the environment for a while. So that's already super sus. But hold on a second. We're not using, we got a whole lot of available space. So I've never, ever since we first set up Loki, I've never went and looked at what it's doing. So system CTL status Loki, right? He's sitting there. He's got this config file. So let's go look in there. Opt Loki. This is where we did all the magic. And let's go see where Loki is saving. He's got temp Loki chunks and then rules, right? And he's got some alert manager. He's got all this stuff going on, but this is where it's all happening. So let's go to temp Loki, and let's do a du-sh dot, and that's only 1.8 gigs. So you might say, well, Scott, what kind of weird fanaticism are you going for here? What are you trying to show me? Well, I noticed the other day when I was doing this. So we've got this. Don't worry about Michael Scott from The Office. In Sandbox, we've got this running, right? And I noticed when this ran the other day, it didn't find the servers I had rebooted. And I got to thinking, I'm like, I tested it. When I tested it, it certainly showed me that I had just rebooted a server. And then I thought, and then right here, like it didn't show. That server definitely rebooted in the last 24 hours. But then I got to think about it, and I'm like, I bet it's not keeping enough data. So we might have to go look at, what's going on in here. So let's see. There are probably some configurations that I don't know for Loki, because I literally just set it up out of the box. The only configurations I have are right here. This is the only configurations I did to this. The default, which is funny because that's set. Anyways, here's what we're doing. So the period is 24 hours, right? But I don't think it's storing 24 hours. I really don't, because that thing had failed. Not failed, but it did not find that reboot, which had only been that. So I wonder. Here's this other thing. Max size is 100 megs. So obviously we're storing much more than 100 megs worth of data in there. But I wonder if that's just in the results cache. So it's possible that that's part of it as well. Let's go look. Loki configuration settings for longer queries. Right? Let's go see the configuration parameters that we can get out of this. Printing Loki configs at runtime. We know how to do all that, right? We know how to get our info out. What I want to see is... Nope. Supported contents and default values of Loki. Not worried about timeouts of secondary stores. Oh, look at this. There's going to be 451 of those. We're gonna have to narrow this down. Storage is 295. We're not gonna be able to get that either. Let's see if there's a better way to find what we want here. Let's go see if somebody's written up. This is the same general stuff, right? All the way that we do things. But I want to see if there's a storage. Let's see if they configure their storage. Read path. Okay, so we know how to write and read. We've done all that stuff. But let's see what this says. Let's see. Now we're not having timeouts as far as read and write. We can read the data. Query processing, that's also fine. I just think that this thing is not... Let's see if we can retain more than 24 hours. So there's a compactor, limits config, and you can store longer time periods. Index. So here's our actual config over here. We didn't change anything. We just let it come right out of the box. Object stores file system and time series database. We know all those things, right? But let's see, what's this index thing? So index, got prefix and period, but we're not specifically saying retention anywhere in here. Now I'm probably on a slightly older version of this as well, so maybe I don't have all the functionality of like the newer systems. Let's see if they give options here for longer retention time. Period 24. Compactor, right? Compactor will do some things. We don't have a compactor over here, so let's config chunk store ruler. We do have a ruler. We're not doing anything with it really. I don't have anything with ingester. Alright, so we haven't really messed with any of this. The system's not rebooting, so the fact that temp could be wiped isn't a thing. Yeah, I'm wondering, there's definitely something happening, and it's something happening within the like hour to 24 hours. Somewhere in there this is failing to work. And my evidence is right here. This was at 4:57 on 9:15. We had an event, so that event should have still that was or that was when this happened, but it was at 11 something at night that the reboot. Now it's just because they're on a different time, but that's fine. This was 4:57 at night for me, but then the next morning, when this thing would have been within the last 24 hours, it was not found. It was not found anymore. This would have only been, I don't know, not even 12. Yeah, not even 12 hours later. Oh, no, a little over 12 hours later. But definitely under 24 hours when this thing got rebooted. Right? So my point in saying that is it's not retaining, and then when we go and look at it and it's only, again, it's like that's definitely not storing all of the logs for my whole environment. That's definitely not 1.8 gigs. That's seems like it would be higher if we were storing for maybe that is 24 hours. That might be. The normal Linux servers that I run or have run in the past are about 18 megs a day of normal data. But this is also taking into account they're doing quite a bit of passing of messages and stuff. So maybe there's a little more than 18 megs, and that's per server. So each server is doing 18 megs a day of log data. At least that's the general that I've seen. It could be higher. It could be more chatty with different apps and stuff on it. But let me see here. Yeah, there's no. And then I'd be willing to bet. Actually, I think I have. Oh, I thought I could do. I thought I could just execute it. Oh, -H. Oh, I can get a version, but only with a single. All right, fair enough. So I'd be willing to bet this is an pretty old version of this. Yeah, look at that build date on it. So it's possible I have to update my version of Loki as well, which is actually nice. Like when we talk about this stuff, one of the nice things about it is I should be able to just go, right? Where's monitoring at? Really? Is that one of my most recent ones? Oh. Should be one of my most recent ones. But anyways, I should be able to just change out this one piece, right? I should just be able to change out Loki and not change any of the other parts, and it should come together pretty quickly. Like everything else should just communicate with Loki on the same server, no problems. That's one of the nice things about kind of having like a modular build or a modular setup of things, is that you can just pull out one row, of your Lego bricks and put another row in there, and it should all just work. So we'll do that. Oh, Robodom, you're here. How's it going? Hopefully I just registered that you were here, sending stuff over on both sides. So I appreciate that. Yeah, we're just kind of hanging out a little bit. I was working on stuff. I was playing video games to start, and then the video game was not going well, so I turned it off. And now I'm just kind of hanging out because, again, not sure exactly when the wife's getting home tonight. So I'm just sitting here, no food in me, no. I had to save the wife from, there was something in the shower, and one of her friends had recently told her about some kind of cockroach or something, and then sent her a picture, and my wife was terrified of this thing in the shower, and she wouldn't touch it, but it was just like a little fuzzball. And I'm like, oh my god, woman. I had to save. She was like, I need you to do that before I have to go take a shower again. And I'm like, what's so? And she's like, I don't know if it's a bug. If it's a bug, I need you to get it. I'm like, oh my god. This is the same one who there was a spider in the shower one time. This was a few months ago. And I go in there and I go, whoa, hold on. I said, that's a jumping spider. And she goes, I know, he's really small, but he scared me. And I made it jump onto my hand, and then I walked it outside and made it jump off onto the wall. And I told her, I was like, jumping spiders are like the cutest little things ever. Me and my brother Steve, when we were kids, we would catch those and make them jump between our hands. Like, that was our favorite thing to do with them. I love jumping. They're too small. They couldn't bite you if they wanted to. They're way too small. They got these tiny little teeth. They got tiny little legs, but they grab on. They can jump like, I don't know, it's something like 80 times their body length or something. They can jump, like you can hold your hands almost like you were going to clap, and they can jump between your hands. And we used to make them jump between our hands and stuff. It was kind of funny when we were kids. But anyways, all right. So systems, we don't have our monitoring quite where I want it yet for the course. I do want to get the monitoring a little more set up because I want to be able to, obviously, like when we go to Grafana is pulling the information and can see the last, like I can go on Grafana and I can see, like, let me say the last 24 hours on this query here. Let's go look. And what is it right now? 132. Okay, as far as the system is concerned, that's the last time something has happened from target. Oh, sorry, 1832. Which is, yeah, that's right now. And we go back, and it looks like, yeah, it looks like we're only getting the last hour, even though we have it configured for the last 24 hours. We're only getting the last hour. So that is not optimal. Let's go look at one of these other ones. Let's go. That's not great. Let's go look at secure and failed. Right. I was pretty sure that this was showing when I would go to 6 hours, that this was showing 6 hours back. But now I'm wondering if that's not the case. So here's our failed passwords. Well, see, that's the thing. That's going back. That's 12. So that's going back 6 hours. Oh, that's 6 hours. Hold on. Let's go change this to 24 hours. Can this go back 18, 16, 15, 14, 11, 12? Yeah. Let's go back 24. All right, so there's something else happening in this query. There's something else happening in this. I don't know if that other tag is getting rolled off. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Yeah, Hayes, have fun. Hopefully that works. Yeah, you can see their little eyes run amok. Yeah. That's actually if you guys have ever seen like those little, I think it's like a Pixar, like a cute little spider. That's what jumping spiders look like. They look like they look like those little. That's what a little jumping spider looks like. But they're super tiny. They're not even like as big as. Like you could fit like 5 of them on your nail, on like your index finger. Like I'm looking at my index finger, and like you could fit like 5 of them on your nail. They're so tiny. And you just make them jump between, like, you can make them jump all over the place. They jump all over. They're fun. Make them jump up your arm if you want. Make them jump all over. But they, I mean, they couldn't bite you. I mean, they couldn't do anything to you if they wanted to. They're way too little. So, Hayes, you said one more drink before you pack. What's Florida right now? Was it 9:30? Oh, you're getting ready for Florida, so you could be anywhere else in the U.S., I guess. But yeah. So why is this? I gotta think about why that's happening. But also, yeah, could be the compaction. It could be. We might just need to go to a newer version. It's very possible that we just all these things. Cache config, time to live for cache before they get purged, 1 hour. That's probably what's happening if that thing's only going back an hour. But then it's also possible that we only have data being stored for 1 hour. And then it's not able to query it when we look for it. It's very likely what's happening. But the way to find that out, well, there's two things. We could just not even worry about it and just skip to the newer version. Or we could sit here and try to like dick around with it and figure it out. So by the way, all these are configurable parameters within the system. We could go in and set these in the YAML. And let's do that same thing again. And here, help. And then we're going to grep for retention. And let's see what the default, if we see anything for store retention value. How long before chunks will be deleted? But that doesn't mean that they're being read. That just means that the chunks exist. That's when you're using Redis or memcached. I think they actually say memcached for that, but I could be wrong. Now I want to see the values, so we're going to say -A1. So I want to see one line after whatever line it shows. See if there's any indicators here that are useful for us. I don't necessarily see anything. Oh, super interesting. So there's definitely something happening to just that stream of data. Mostly that there's more of it, obviously. This one is fine. This one's caching a whole 24 hours. And this is probably the one I originally was like, oh, that one's cached 24 hours. We're good. I didn't realize that because of the amount of it. And this makes sense, right? Like if it's only caching a certain amount, it's very possible that that's part of it. So we could just start mucking around and changing things, or we could, query range. But that's just query range, and we are querying a range. Interesting. Okay, I might play with that a little bit later, but that's something that's either going to get completely ripped out and rebuilt as a new version of Loki because it badly needs it. Loki's been updated a lot since 2022, and also it should be super simple to do. Again, like I should just be able to pull it out, put it in. All my stuff should still work. Everything should point to it. I'm not doing anything crazy with certificates. We are going to build a version of that eventually that has certificates in there, but we're not doing anything with that now. Hold on real quick. Okay. Wife said she's going to be home around 8, so that's good. I at least know that. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get back to planning the automation course. Is this imported from Excalibur? What is this? Oh. What's going on here, Excalibur? You're You're being embarrassing. All right, so that's the other course. Let's go over here. I don't know why that doesn't want to say that it's changed. But I do have some stuff to keep working on for the... Jeez, do I not know where my hand is? There you go. All right. Some things to set up for this. So this will be some more stuff. I do have other stuff already written over here in my Word docs, right? Like I have some frequently asked questions and the admin guide. And then I do have a little bit with the actual lab starting to be put together. So this is the lab book that I'm starting. And I still got to modify it more. But, whoops, I did not mean to do that. So we got that stuff going along. Let's go with, we'll start a little hourglass here and then take a little break. So if anybody wants to take a break, take it. I had that for my college students the other night. I had it all giant. I'll just move it right here and say, take a quick break. Break. And then work on automation course. I don't know, 8 minutes sounds good. All right, I'm gonna go wander around a little bit. Need to get some more drinks too. 4 more minutes. And we'll get back to, I don't know, working on something. We're doing something. I'm just not super motivated right now. All right. Let's see. Let's see what we got. We'll stop that. We don't need that anymore. All right. I need to spin up my course writing stuff. I just don't want to do it. And I have doctoral stuff to work on too. We could sit around and read doctoral papers, but I don't think most of you guys would like that. That would prove boring for people, especially since I've been reading dissertations on systems engineering. So that might bore some of you, or most of you. What else we got? We do have, I mean, the lab's as ready as it's going to be for everybody to start this weekend. I have some more capacity I can squeeze out of it if I need to. I have a fair amount of I think I've got a good amount of capacity. I did give my at work today. I gave my second version of I had the werewolf presentation. Some of you guys kind of saw my like little quick run through of it, and it was pretty good. It was about an hour long. Had some questions. Didn't have all the answers. In fact, actually, that might be a fun thing to look up. So when we talk about like a tool like werewolf, right? And we talk about what this tool does. It does big cluster management, right? But one of the problems with that is if we're going to provision, what if we've got to stand up? What if we got to stand up all, 3,200 nodes, right? If we've got to do that, we have a lot more than just, we don't want just one node pushing it all, right? So hold on a second here real quick. Hold on, I got a student messaging me. Give me 1 second real quick here. Hold on, top middle. Shit. Give me 1 second here, guys. I'm typing to a student on text. Top middle, upload those two files to the desktop. They will open. With the multi-sim tool. Motherfucker. I don't know why my system would think I'd want to say the word Rolands instead of downloads, but here we are. I can't stand like the modern way of like sliding your finger over a keyboard on your local machine. Not a super big fan of any of this. All right. Excuse me. I need to see. Let's go over here. Let's see. So, Beowulf cluster, right? So this is how Beowulf worked, right? And then you had your worker nodes, but what did that just say? Werewolf's your tool, sure. But how do they deal with multiple scans? So one control node handling all the workers becomes untenable after about, I don't know, 1700 nodes, depending. Hold on a second, guys. I need 1 second real quick here. This is Scott. Yeah, so you got those products now, right? Alright, guys. Man, I know I was in the other room, but I'm not on call. That's my student calling. That was a student that needed help. One of my 80, 80 something. Here's the problem. Hold on. Let's go to this werewolf problem. So when we provision and stateless, that's fine, but they don't deal with. Yeah, I didn't think werewolf deals with this. They don't. We need to. Our delivery net. We need to make sure. Is there a way for werewolf to work with multiple worker nodes underneath, like werewolf provisioning nodes, which is what we sometimes have to do with like HPCM and other tools like that. And I don't see anything for that. I've never seen anything for that. And I got 2 different questions when I was doing my presentation on it, and I was like, I don't have a good answer for that because I've never used it like that. So you guys see what I'm saying? Like if you were doing this back here, right here, this is fun and cute, right? But it's not. One node can't run to 1,600 nodes if you're bringing all of them up at the same time. It can't handle that much bandwidth like that. It would take hours to give all the nodes their configurations. So what we would tend to do is this control node part would get broken out, and there would be multiple control nodes, and they would handle, a few thousand nodes each or whatever. And in the big scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal as long as you're only doing a few nodes at a time. But when you ever have to bring the cluster completely down and completely back up, power outage or moving racks or adding devices or something, then one control node's not enough, right? Control node historically has been master of head, and dual hone has 2 network interface cards with. Okay, so this is what we're used to, and it comes from Beowulf. So some of you guys that know about the Beowulf cluster, it's been around quite some time. Some of us built this with Raspberry Pis back in the day for fun, right? But now we've got a production ready tool that we use, but it doesn't have the ability to have multiple nodes. So I think that's kind of interesting. Yeah. I don't see anything around being able to expand this configuration out any. There's nothing for that. So that is an interesting limitation, because you always are limited when you have one single node. VNFS template and good. Containers. We do containers. One of these days when I have more capacity in the lab, we'll do werewolf. But to do werewolf, I need to have everybody on their own VLANs, and it's too much when we don't have requirements for attendance and that kind of stuff. All right, nodes okay. Bootman. So all these things, we know how all these things work, right? Or we can know how all these things work. My point is, it's just node provisioning is just one box. Just one box doing all of it. And that works fine in my lab. That works fine in systems I've built. But how do we deal with more, more? So, all right. Yeah, that's all. I guess in this case, we just assume that one will handle it. But we do use high availability between the 2 nodes, but that's still a 1 node problem at the end of the day. If you have an active and a passive node in any configuration, you're still dealing with the bandwidth of 1 node. You're not dealing with multiple node stuff. Yeah, I don't see anything. That's a quick start guide, how to build it if you ever want to build it for fun. We obviously use it in the lab, and I've shown you guys a lot about kind of how it works. But Yeah, yeah. So that was something we did earlier. And then, sorry guys, I got a call from my student, so I didn't get back around here. So, yeah. Tell you guys, I was super motivated earlier. I was super motivated to get on here and do stuff, and then I just am not motivated now. So I started working on stuff, and I was like, I don't want to do anything. It's like near the end of the week. I got one more day of work, and then my wife packed the weekend with stuff she wants to do, and I'm just like, man, I don't have time for any of this. So, all right, here's what we'll do. We'll call it here. We got a lot of stuff coming on the book a trip to Florida. I might be booking a trip up to Ohio. They're gonna make me go train people in Ohio for 4 days, so I'm gonna have to go give some in classroom learning for people, which should be fun. But yeah, the courses though, they're coming up, should be good for people. Yeah, just lots going on, and maybe I should just taken today off, but I didn't want to miss another day when I've been missing so many days. So I'm gonna go back to playing my video game, and I'll be hanging out down in the Discord. So if anybody needs me, just message me down there. All right, I will see most of you guys later on this weekend.